Hello, welcome again to the lecture series on engineering thermodynamics. Today we discuss about the first law of thermodynamics as applied to open systems. In this session, we will write first law as applied to an open system, then write steady flow energy equation as applied to many practical flow systems. We have already studied the first law applied to a closed system executing a cycle. First law applied to a closed system executing a process. Now we will discuss first law applied to flow processes or open system. You know very well that in a closed system, mass neither enters into the system nor leaves the system. Only there will be work interaction and heat interaction between the system and its surroundings. In an open system, in addition to heat interaction, work interaction between the system and its surroundings, there will be mass entering into the system and mass leaving the system. Such a system we call it as open system. Let us write first law equation for such a system. You are very well aware that first law is nothing but law of conservation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Hence, I can write first law as applied to a flow process or applied to open system. Energy entering into the system must be equal to energy leaving the system plus accumulation of energy within the system. Let me explain this concept with a simple example. Assume that you have an hospital. In this hospital, there are already some inpatients. There are some patients. Okay. Let us say the number of patients here are something like P. On a given day, let us say some patients are entering into the hospital. Patients entering into the hospital. Some patients are leaving the hospital. Maybe they are outpatients. Out of the P number of patients, some PL number of patients will be leaving. It is not necessary these patients have to be from this group only. Some patients can be here, some of them can be here. So the difference in PE minus PL, difference in PE minus PL number of patients, they get accumulated. Correct? So same way, energy entering into the system, energy leaving the system, the difference in these two energy must get accumulated within the system. Thus, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. This is the idea of first law applied to open system. Let us discuss this in a little better way. Consider this is an open system. Mass is entering into the system, mass is leaving the system. This system is having work interaction and heat interaction with its surroundings. Let us call this volume as control volume. Let us call this surface as control surface. Whenever mass enters into the system, along with that, it carries various forms of energy. It will carry kinetic energy, virtue of its motion, may carry potential energy, virtue of its position. The same way when mass leaves the system, it will take away or carry along with that some energy. So now the energy entering into the system is the mass of fluid that is entering, along with that the specific values, that is specific internal energy, flow work, its kinetic energy, its potential energy. This is what is entering. Some part of the mass is leaving the system, along with that it carries away internal energy, flow work, its kinetic energy, its potential energy. Q amount of heat is entering into the system. Let us say the system is doing W amount of work on its surroundings. M1 minus M2, the difference in this mass is, let us say, small mass delta M gets accumulated here. So its energy I have indicated, its internal energy, its kinetic energy, its potential energy, sigma signifies like it's stored. So applying the first law, apply to a open system, the total energy entering into the system must be equal to total energy leaving the system plus energy accumulated in the system. Now energy entering into the system, this is Q, and this energy. Energy leaving the system, this W, and this energy. Energy accumulated is this. So by writing and reorganizing, I'll be getting like this. Okay, this is the second law. This is the first law equation applied to open system. Let us simplify this equation. Let us see many of the engineering devices, they are steady flow devices. What do you mean by that? Suppose, let us say, aircraft is flying from airport A to airport B. Other than its, say, takeoff and landing, the midway, it will be flying at a steady speed. That means it will be continuously producing a constant amount of thrust. In other words, the compressor turbine, the gas turbine, the propulsion system of the aircraft, they will be running at, say, steady speed. So a constant amount of mass will be entering and producing a constant amount of work. You can call that something like that, steady conditions. So let us apply that steady conditions to this first law of thermodynamics equation applied to open system. So now let us make some assumption. Let us say the mass entering into the system and mass leaving the system, so they are equal. M2 minus M1, the difference, say delta M, is not getting accumulated over here. Whatever enters, the same thing, similar amount is leaving out. So no accumulation takes place. And these values of M1 and M2 remain constant with respect to time. That is what we call it as, that is steady conditions. There is something like transient condition, which are time dependent. These are not time dependent with respect to time. 10 o'clock in the morning, let us say 100 kg per second is the mass flow rate. 11 o'clock, if you are measuring, even then its mass flow is 100 kg per second. That's the way I'm talking about, not varying with respect to time. Let us write down this condition. The mass flow rates into and out of the system are equal and do not vary with time. This implies that mass within the system does not change. No accumulation happens. The state and energy of the fluid at the entrance and at the exit do not vary with the time. There is no change in energy within the system. The rates of heat and work transfer into the system do not vary with the time. Please remember, these are the steady state conditions. Now, if I go back to this general equation, this part will become 0 now. Since it is becoming 0, now my equation gets simplified into this form. Right? Now I can write this as enthalpy at the exit. This is enthalpy at the entry point. So I represent this by H2, this I represent by H1. I can further simplify this. Now I can further simplifying, I can write this equation. This equation we call it as steady flow energy equation. In short, SFEE equation we call it. So work done, let us say kilojoules, heat flow kilojoules, mass kg. Sometimes we're talking about mass flow rate. So that time it is kg per second. Then it becomes heat flow rate, kilojoule per second, that is nothing but kilowatt. Kilojoule per second, kilowatt. Then flow rate. To represent such flow rates, what we do is the same thing we denote as Q dot, W dot, M dot, right? Then they are rate equations. So Q, W, M can be represented as Q dot, W dot, M dot to indicate that they are heat flow rate, power and mass flow rate. Depending on the situation, you can use the notations. For a closed system, the displacement work W, we write it as integral PdV work. Same way, how can we represent work for a steady flow system in absence of kinetic energy and potential energy? Let us look at that way. Now, from steady flow energy equation, if there is no kinetic energy, this part is not there. There is no potential energy, this part is not there. Then this part is there. Q minus W, I can write it as H2 minus H1, or Q minus W is equal to delta H, I can write. Assume mass is unit quantity. For a small change, I can write this as delta Q, delta W is equal to dH. Okay, this applied for, this applicable for steady flow system. Now let us apply first law of thermodynamics for a closed system executing a process. We know that the equation is delta Q minus delta W is equal to du. This delta W, for only displacement work is there, we can write it as PdV. Now delta Q is equal to du. This delta W is nothing but PdV. This I can write. You know that enthalpy definition, H is equal to U plus PV. If I differentiate this, this will become dH, du, P dV and VdP. Okay, by differentiating. Now du plus P dV is nothing but d delta Q. So I have written delta H is equal to delta Q plus VdP. dH is equal to delta Q plus VdP. Delta H is also dH, sorry, not delta H, dH is also equal to delta Q minus delta W. So equate, you cancel this, then you can write W is equal to minus integral VdP, or W is equal to minus, it is minus integral VdP for steady flow system neglecting kinetic energy and potential energy. Please know that for a closed system, we draw PV diagram. Suppose a system executes a process, then the area under that curve is what PDV work is. Similarly, now you have the coordinates. Let us say this is the process. This is P. This is V. Now you just find this. This becomes your VDP work. Right? Okay, fine. Let us apply steady flow energy equation for engineering systems. First, let me apply this equation to a turbine. Turbine, you know, it's a power producing device. Turbine can be a gas turbine, it can be a steam turbine, it can be a hydraulic turbine, it can be an air turbine, so on. So I represent the turbine by this symbol. Because at the entry point, the pressure temperatures will be high. At the exit point, the pressure temperatures will be low. Basically, turbine is an expansion device. Due to expansion of this fluid, it will produce the work. So you'll get the shaft work here. The expansion is so fast, you can consider this is insulated, as there is not much time available for heat loss to occur. So go back to steady flow energy equation. In that we can write Q is equal to 0 because we have assumed it is insulated. Entry and exit, this height difference is not much, or the difference is very small. So we call it as Z1 is equal to Z2 and we change in potential energy is negligible. Substituting that, I'll be getting this equation. So here M is, you can write it as so many kg per second or kg per hour, whatever it is. Here I'll take it, let us say kg per second. This is kilojoule per kg, meter square seconds per second square. Then substitute, you will get joule per second, that is watt. To convert this into kilowatt, I have written 1000. This is the power output. You can say it is W dot. Fine. Let us apply the same steady flow energy equation to a compressor. At the entry point, the pressure is rho, also the temperature is low. As it passes through this, it gets compressed. Right, it comes out with high pressure and high temperature. That's why it is a compression device. Again, the compression process is fast enough, so it is assumed there is not sufficient time for the heat loss to occur. It is as though it is insulated. Work is done on the system, so through shaft we supply the work to the system. So in the steady flow energy equation, assume that Q is equal to 0. Change in potential energy is negligible. Fluid enters at low velocity, leaves at very low velocity, so change in or difference in kinetic energy is negligible. Then from the steady flow energy equation, we get this. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you want, we can write this as W dot and M dot. Then kilowatt you can express. So let's see, we have now nozzles. Particularly in rocket propulsion, we use nozzle. It is basically a converging and diverging device. Converging, diverging device. Basically, a nozzle is used to accelerate the flow. Means it enters with a low velocity, it leaves with a very high velocity. This is basically an expansion device. It is assumed to be insulated. So in the steady flow energy equation, we can say Q is equal to 0 because it's insulated. There is no shaft, W is equal to 0. The difference in potential heads is 0. Hence, applying to the steady flow energy equation these conditions, then finally we get this equation. So from this equation, it is always possible to find out what is the exit velocity if you know the enthalpy drop as well as what is the inlet velocity. Another very important device is what you call it as a throttling device. Throttling devices are very much in use in air conditioners and refrigerator. Earlier I have explained the working of an air conditioner in the beginning. See here, in a refrigeration or air conditioner circuit, you will have a condenser. This is a throttling device. You will have an evaporator, then you will have a compressor. Compressor compresses the refrigerant to high pressure and high temperature. We pass through the condenser. Then high pressure, it will be high temperature. Temperature remains the same. Only thing is it will be in the gaseous state. This will become liquid state. So still it is in the high pressure and high temperature state, but it is in the liquid phase. When we pass through a throttling device due to sudden expansion, passing through a throttling device, sudden expansion, pressure decreases, also its temperature decreases. This low temperature fluid, when it passes through this, it will abstract the heat from its surroundings. This device, we call it as throttling device. So as I said, expansion is sudden. You can see that it is also, you can analysis sake, you can assume to be insulated. There is no shaft. There is no W. Z1 and Z2 are equal. So that is it. So difference in velocities, inlet and exit, not very much. So we can write it as H1 equal to H2 by substituting all these things in the steady flow energy equation. So in a throttling device, the enthalpy remains constant. So it is isoenthalpic process that whatever happens in a throttling device. H1 is equal to H2. Let us compare steady flow energy equation with Euler and Bernoulli's equation. We can write steady flow energy equation like this. In the differential form, this we can write it dH. This definitely we can write it as VdV. Because if we integrate again, I'll get back this. This we can write like this. This is the fine. You know delta Q is equal to du plus PdV for a closed system executing a process. dH, H is equal to U plus PV. Differentiate, you will get du plus PdV plus VdP. This will come here, this will be here, this will be here. Now this will go, this will go, this will go with this, then you are getting with this. Now integrate this. We will get this reorganize inlet and outlet, exit inlet with this, outlet this. Then we can write this way. This is nothing but our Bernoulli's equation. But Bernoulli's equation is valid for an inviscid incompressible fluid. Okay, so we can write Bernoulli's equation like this, and steady flow energy, this is the steady flow energy equation. Since Bernoulli's equation is valid for inviscid and incompressible flow, and Bernoulli's equation is definitely energy equation or steady flow energy equation. But steady flow energy equation in general is valid for viscous as well, in addition to inviscid and incompressible flow. In conclusion, first law of thermodynamics is the law of conservation of energy. The concept of energy is due to first law and it is a property of the system. Like earlier I said, temperature is the consequence of zeroth law of thermodynamics. Same way, the concept energy is the consequence of first law of thermodynamics. We have studied first law for system executing a cycle, closed system executing a cycle, closed system executing a process, and a system executing an open system. Then we have extended this idea to steady flow conditions. And I have mentioned here, most of the engineering systems obey steady flow energy equation. Bernoulli's equation can be obtained from steady flow energy equation. Hence, Bernoulli's equation is the equation of energy. So with this, we have introduced the first law, concepts of first law as applied to open system. And in the next session, we will work out some numerical examples to get a better understanding of this concept. Till then, thank you very much.